So earlier in the previous module, I talked about the number one dream killer in the space, which is not being, not being able to find and land a quality sales role for most newly trained closers, right? So in this module, why most newly trained closers struggle to find and land a quality sales opportunities, like it's just not one thing. There are multiple things and reasons as to why people struggle. And again, this is not something that your sales training is really teaching you or even focusing on. But a lot comes into play here. And it all starts with your initial pitch, how you guys came into the high ticket sales space. You guys watched a webinar, VSL an ad, something to that extent, where they basically, in my opinion, again, it's the big lie. They did you a disservice because they pitched you and sold you based on marketing, letting you know that, hey, anyone could come into the high ticket sales space, go through a sales training program, land a closing role, and start earning up to $10,000 per month with little to no sales experience, right? So they've already instilled these thoughts and expectations of being able to come into this space and being successful. And so again, that's the big lie, right? And so I really want to, in this module, I'm going to dive into all the very specific reasons why people struggle, but not only that, what's not being, ultimately it's not, these are things or skills that are not being taught in the sales training program. I just wanted to create this overall awareness and let you guys know there's just so much more that goes into finding and landing a quality sales opportunity. So the first thing that I'm going to touch on here is most of you guys, and I'm not I'm not poking fun of you guys, like by any means. I like to be direct. I like to be straightforward, because at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I tell people what they need to hear, especially if you're trying to make this transition. And so the number one issue here is mindset. So most of you guys have invested in a sales training program where, let's just say, they did 10 to 12 weeks of mindset work, right? Which is awesome. Like, seriously, that's awesome. It's phenomenal. And if you've never done any mindset work, if you've never, dug into the personal development or the self-help or read the books, right? Because, let's just say you're going to school or you've been working for the past X amount of years, right? It's not something that we're trained to do. It's not something that we're taught in school. And so most of us, we think like employees, right? Safety and security. And you've heard me say this before, but it's all about safety and security. We don't, we're not taught to invest. We're not taught about finances, compound interest, and, there's just a lot of details that go into entrepreneurship. And this is not stuff that we're being taught in school. We're being groomed for the corporate structure, for the corporate ladder. And so when you make this investment, most of us don't have the right mindset to move forward, right? I've been working on my mindset for the past 19 years. I'd like to say I'm pretty rock solid, but I still have my opportunities. I still have my weaknesses. Trust me, thoughts of uncertainty still to this day come into my head. And I'm not perfect by any means, but just because you went through 10, 12 weeks of mindset work, like, it doesn't mean like you're good to go. It's like going to the gym. We need to exercise it every single day. And so most of us will come into the space thinking it's going to be easy. And then when we start to struggle, typically I say we hit that 3 weeks, right? After graduation, we kind of hit that, the emotional cliff. We hit that wall where it's like, holy shit, we're, pretty discouraged. Like, we're seeking, like, our brain is going, running like a madman because we haven't gotten the results. We haven't landed interviews. We haven't landed a job. And like, now we're just kind of like, we're looking for solutions. Like, what do I got to do? What do we got to do? Right. And so you start asking for help. You start coming from a place of scarcity and sometimes even desperation. And it can be tough, especially if you don't have the proper guidance. Ultimately, most of you guys were not properly trained. You guys were not show the skill sets and what this space is really about. Like that transparency has never been there. And so, you know, this emotional cliff, it's kind of the way I kind of explain it, it's like you hit this wall after 3 weeks. And it's what I call the law of the lid. Our personal knowledge, our experiences, and our resources will always get us to a certain point in life, right? You know, and that's just kind of the reality. And I think you guys are going to, I think this is going to make sense for a lot of you. And it happens in many different ways, whether you're trying to get to the next level in sports, in life, in business. Like, it really doesn't matter. We're always going to hit that wall where we feel stuck. Like we feel like that hamster in a wheel. We don't know what to do next, right? That's what I call like hitting the wall, the law of the lid, because our training, our own personal knowledge, our experiences, and our resources got us to that point. But now you hit that level, you know, you plateau, you hit that level, that place of stagnation where you don't know what to do next, right? So you start scrambling. But for most people, what ends up happening, especially if you are newer to entrepreneurship, when you hit that wall, your brain is automatically wanting to revert to safety and security. So your brain starts looking for other solutions of, how do I get myself out of this? Now, the next thing that pops up is the shiny object syndrome. Okay, so you hit the wall, you don't know what to do next, you're completely lost. Now your brain is looking for an exit, an out, another solution. So what happens for a lot of you guys is that you'll start seeing ads for affiliate marketing. You'll start, you know, insurance, you know, other solutions, other vehicles to help you get to that 10K per month. And so for most of you guys, it's like, okay, high ticket sales, this has been tough. It's not working. Therefore, I'm going to go try something else. So what you guys are, in reality, what you guys are doing, you guys are hitting the reset button, and you're starting over with another vehicle, another investment, whatever that looks like. And again, that other investment, you might go through a training or something to that extent, your own personal experience, your knowledge, and the resources and your training. It's going to get you to a certain point again where you hit the wall, the law of the lid, right? And again, what's going to happen? The shiny object syndrome is going to kick in, and then you're going to restart again. And this is common for so many of us. I've done this personally, right? Because again, we do not have the proper mindset as to when we hit the wall to keep going. Just imagine, for those of you who have made multiple investments and have started over again, if we just stuck to one thing and gave it a true go, especially when things did get tough, you know, maybe you did need a coach, right? So, and that's kind of my point here, right? Typically, when you hit that wall, that level of stagnation and that loss of clarity because you don't know what to do next, ultimately, you don't have the capacity to take yourself to the next level. Therefore, you do need a coach, guide, and mentor that can help you get to the next level. They can help you beat this level, right? And so that's a super important message here, right? Because again, as much as we think we've got a decent mindset, or we make, you know, mindset was included in a sales training program, like, it doesn't mean shit though. Like, it's a good start, but we need to continue to persevere. And if you do hit that wall, now your options are, you find something else, you make another investment in another industry, which I don't recommend, or you go to YouTube, you go to Google, and you try to figure it out on your own, which I don't recommend, because again, most of you guys don't have the proper mindset or a strong enough mindset to continue on your own, right? So, and then the third option is you can find a coach, guide, and a mentor. And I'm not saying this to pitch my stuff by any stretch, but think about that. It's just the reality of entrepreneurship. So if it's not with me, it's going to be with someone else, or it has to be with someone else. And if you're not willing to make that investment, then you're not going to make it. There's no such thing as something for nothing. And unfortunately, some of you guys have made that $3,000 to $10,000 investment thinking that you were going to get everything you needed. But again, we must continually invest in ourselves, whether it's time, money, energy, whatever that looks like, but we must continue to invest in ourselves. So there are a lot of other reasons which I'll dive into as far as, again, why people struggle to make the transition into high ticket sales and finding that quality sales opportunities, because we were just set up for failure to begin with. Like, we weren't given all the information that we needed to make this transition happen. It was a good pitch, and unfortunately, they don't give you everything that you need. And so, again, you're gonna have to make another investment. I assure you. Can you do it on your own? Yes, 100%. But is it going to be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, a year, before that happens? But now think about, the mindset. Do you have a strong enough mindset to continue to persevere on your own? So, soaking up all the freebies, doing the homework on your own, trying to figure it out on your own. Most people do not. And I'm talking like 90+% do not have that mindset, the mentality, and the mental fortitude to continue forward. So mindset is the number one reason as to why most of you guys are struggling to find and land a quality sales role.